I've never been to Italy. I've never taken an Italian course in a classroom, but I can hold a conversation in Italian. And I learned it all from this exact room, and this is how I did and how you can too. Hello world, I'm Bia. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm gonna be explaining how I learned Italian, and just in advance, no, I'm not fluent in Italian. My bar to consider someone fluent in a language is very high, and I do not consider myself fluent. However, I can understand and communicate with my friends in Italian. I don't struggle to watch movies and series in Italian, and I would say that I am between B1 and B2 level. I think in my head B2 is too advanced, so I like to think that I am high B1, but I've never taken a test on that. So in today's video, my idea is to make this a new playlist on my channel. So I would like to explain how I learned each of the languages I know from my room. So on each video of this series, I'll be speaking basically all the resources, my story with the language, how I learned, and I'll be recommending a lot of things for you guys. So content to watch on YouTube, Netflix, singers, books, podcasts, a lot of stuff. Actually, not many podcasts because I'm not a big fan, but still. So I actually made a list with the things that I don't want to forget and all the things I want to recommend you guys. So if you're learning Italian or if you're planning to learn, save this video and watch this video until the end, and let me know in a comment whether you're studying or you're planning to study this beautiful language. So I think I told my story with Italian a lot of times, but if you do not know me or if you don't know how I ended up learning this language, I was actually here in my room, and by the time that I was studying Italian, which was the ending of 2023 if I'm not mistaken, I was really flirting with Italian.
And I don't mean Italian man, I mean the language itself.
But I was really wanting to learn this language because I knew Spanish and I knew Portuguese and English by that time, and I was like, Italian seems so fun. I really thought that Italian was a beautiful language. I think everybody has this idea of Italian as a very romantic language. And I think just by having this idea, romanticized idea of Italy, romanticized idea of the language itself, I remember there was this Italian content creator that I do not recall his name right now, but he used to show up on my Instagram page a lot of times reading Italian poems. And I was like, that's so freaking pretty. Like, you're really telling me that this language is out there and I'm not speaking it? No, come on. And then I was getting more and more excited about the idea of learning Italian, and everything was giving me signs to actually learn this language. I was watching TikToks or Instagram Reels, and then it was, you know, Instagram and TikTok was recommending more content related to Italian. And I was like,
Is this a sign? Because if it is,
I'm gonna learn it. And then I decided to actually immerse myself in the language before starting to officially learn. So I decided to watch Baby, which is an Italian series. That changed my life. Okay, dramatic. That changed. No, actually that changed my life because I learned a new language. And perhaps if I haven't watched Baby by the time, I wouldn't have learned Italian. That series was really important to me. And if you watch it and you say, Bia, it's not that good, I would not say shut up, but keep in mind that I thought that, okay? Okay, it's not the best series you will ever watch, but it's so good. And I had a crush on this guy. He was one of the actors, and his name is Lorenzo Durzolo, and he's... and I had a crush on him, and I was like, he speaks Italian so well. Of course, he's an Italian native speaker, but he spoke so well that I was like, I don't know, I think I should learn this language. And that's how I did. So I kind of decided to learn officially because of him, because he was so cute and I liked how he spoke. So I was like, okay, that's enough motivation. I may go to Italy one day, but it's not anytime soon. So what's gonna actually motivate me? It's gonna be this guy. So that's basically my story of Italian. I was learning Italian by the end of 2023, and I think only in the middle of 2024 I was actually taking the language seriously, like actually practicing and talking to people and watching content. But I must say that the time that I started in the beginning of 2024 really helped me with grammar, learning verbs, and all of that. And that's what we're gonna cover in today's video. So I'm gonna start recommend you guys some content to watch in Italian based on what I've watched. The 3 channels that I watched on YouTube when I was learning Italian were Elisa True Crime, 2 Easy Italian, 3 Learn Italian with teacher Stefano. Elisa's channel is basically about true crime stories, so there isn't much for me to say about that. For some reason, I really liked watching that type of content in Italian. So I remember in the beginning, a lot of the words I learned were related to that. But her channel was super good. Like, I was addicted to watching her. Her videos were super long, but she spoke at a very good speed. If you're not a fan of this content, which I totally understand, then you can try to find a new one. But she spoke at a very good speed for me to understand when I was high beginner. I like to watch with my friends, so that was basically it. Second channel is Easy Italian, and honestly, I cannot recommend Easy series channels enough. They are extremely good. They have Easy French, Easy Italian, German, but the Easy Italian is great. I totally love it. They have a series of vlogs in Italian with dual subtitles, and I've recommended this channel in the past video, and I keep recommending it because it is really good. They're super helpful. You will find a lot of street interviews with Italian, so you can learn some expressions. You can use the shadowing technique by watching those interviews, and they have content related to vocabulary, spoken Italian, I think even some grammar if I'm not mistaken, but for me it's just super good, so I always recommend this channel. Third one is with teacher Stefano. I don't really like podcasts, but his podcast was really good. I always try to start podcasts and I always stop, but his podcast was one that actually was nice to listen while I was going to uni, and it really helped me to keep immersing myself in this language. And also I got some vocabulary that I remember I took notes on my notes app, and then I would reveal those words later on. Really helpful. But if you're just starting to learn Italian, then I definitely recommend watching this third one because he has content about every single thing. He has content about grammar in Italian, most used verbs. He has frequently asked questions type of videos where he answers some of the students' questions about Italian. And also he has vlogs in Italian, which are super fun. I was a big fan of his vlogs in Italian because they're just great. And I don't know if it's because he was a teacher, but his speaking was just awesome to understand, very clear, and you could pick up a lot of vocabulary by that. Now, when it comes to Netflix, I have a few recommendations for you guys. The first one is Baby, because come on, that was the reason I learned Italian. And if you don't like it, I'm not gonna judge you because I totally get it. Like, it's a very teenage type of series, so if you're not into that, you're not gonna like it. Second one is an astrological guide for broken hearts. This one is about a woman trying to find love, and then she ended up meeting a lot of people with different zodiac signs, and that's pretty much it. I remember I didn't finish this series. I don't know what happened, just didn't finish, but it was very simple, really easy to understand if you're a high beginner or if you're just starting the language. I think it's very understandable. They don't use a complex vocabulary, and also the content of the series itself is simple, so it's made for you to understand. Even if you're not watching with subtitles, I think by the context you can understand. So if you don't know some words by the context, by the video,
You know, the thing that is showing up on your screen.
you can end up actually understanding the series, so I recommend it. Third one was a movie that I actually just watched this year, which is called La Vita Bella. It's a movie that won the Oscars, if I'm not mistaken, 25 years ago, and it's an incredible Italian movie. I think it won Best International Picture, and the movie is great. It has a great message, and I totally recommend for you guys. Now, one thing about content that you can watch on streamings is simply watching cartoons in Italian. It doesn't matter if the cartoon is from Italy or not, but just watching cartoons. It can be even like Disney movies in Italian. It's extremely helpful because if it was made by Disney, the translation usually is very good, and also the vocabulary from cartoons is usually easier to understand, so I don't think you guys will struggle that much. And when it comes to cartoons, I think it's very up to you guys to decide what's nice to watch, but these are my recommendations of cartoons that I personally like, and you can try to find them in Italian on YouTube, Netflix, Disney Plus, or other streamings. And yeah, take a screenshot. Oh wait, let me okay, you took? Nice. Next one. I cannot believe that I wrote this. I wrote Duolingo. I'm leaving. Alright, why did I write Duolingo when I don't recommend you Duolingo usually? Because the Italian Duolingo is actually interesting for you to learn vocabulary, but But don't use only Duolingo. Usually when we say, oh, I'm gonna learn a new language, the first thing we do is download Duolingo. And I think because it's so easy, you just have to click a notification, which you will receive every day. We ended up not looking for other ways to study. And I see a lot of people who download Duolingo and say, yeah, I'm learning that language, but they're not doing anything actively to learn it. So I usually don't recommend Duolingo because it puts you on this loop of just, you know, doing because of the streak, and you're not actually learning the language itself. Like you have been learning for 200 days, but you don't know how to speak, like the basics of the language. And for me, that's, you know, 200 days. That's a lot. Not adding pressure to you guys. It's okay if you had a 1,000 streak on Duolingo. It's totally fine. Mad respect. But I think there are more efficient ways to learn. You can use Duolingo, and I definitely recommend to use Duolingo as a complement. If it's a complement to your routine, then really nice. I'm really proud of you. That's really smart. But if you're using Duolingo as your main resource, then I think you should think of something new. But as I said, if you just want to review, use it as a complement resource and learn some vocabulary, you know, when you're going to school, when you're going to work, during your breakfast, then very nice. I think it's a nice resource, to be honest. I'm not against Duolingo. I just don't think that it should be your main resource. Okay, next one. One app that I'm a big fan of is called Quizlet. I use Quizlet since I've started to learn Spanish. So it's been quite a long time, I think 5 years. If you don't know Quizlet, it's basically a flashcards app, and I really love it because I like the aesthetic of Quizlet. I think it's super pretty. I like the format, the way that I can put pictures to associate with the words. But if I'm not mistaken, you do not have spaced repetition on Quizlet, so you just have to be proactive and remember to do. They can send you a notification if I'm not mistaken, but like I don't think they have the same system as Anki. If you think that Anki works for you better, then try Anki. I think both of them are really good, so you can choose. But Quizlet is usually the one I go with because I don't have Anki on my phone, and I will not remember on a daily basis to open my laptop and do flashcards on Anki. So usually I just go on my app on Quizlet and do some flashcards. If you watch my past video, you know that I said that doing flashcards just for the sake of doing flashcards is not really helpful because it's better to learn words in context, in my opinion, and I still stand on that. But I also said that if you're planning to do flashcards with the spaced repetition method, then I'm with you. Approve. And the last app that I recommend is Buzu. Buzu is really good. Like, I think people don't talk about Buzu enough, but I did the very basic of Italian on Buzu, and it was so helpful that when I started learning French, I was also doing Buzu, but for French. So I have very good memories of Buzu. I think it's a very complete app. And honestly, if Buzu wants to sponsor me one day, just letting you guys know that I would accept that because, okay, I'm joking, but it is true. I really like Buzu. I think it's a very useful app. And if you guys haven't tried yet, I think it's worth a shot. Just letting you guys know in advance, these are the apps that I use. I know that there are a bunch of apps to learn Italian. I'm a big fan of these three, so if it's helpful, try them too. And of course, I have to recommend you guys to my baby,
my Shayla,
which is Language Reactor. If you guys do not know what Language Reactor is, come here. So, Language Reactor is basically a Google Chrome extension that allows you to watch videos on Netflix, on YouTube with dual subtitles. And I use so much for Italian, and now I'm using for French, and it's incredibly good. It works for both languages easily. I recommend a bunch of things related to content and watching content and consuming content in Italian because, as I said, I believe that this is what makes you actually learn a language. So it's all about input and output. As many videos as you watch and as many texts as you read, you will learn so much vocabulary unconsciously that you'll be able to understand when people are talking to you very quickly because of this whole season of immersion that you did before learning the language or right in the beginning. Now, keeping the same idea of consuming content, I have a list of singers that you guys should start listening to on Spotify. And I have to start with my favorite one because this singer, guys, so he's a young pop Italian singer, and I really like him because as soon as you listen to his songs, you'll be able to understand it. If you have studied Italian for a little bit, you'll be able to understand at least one or two phrases, and that's for sure. Most of his songs are very easy to understand, very easy to sing and to learn. learn. So I remember the first song I listened from him was Cose in Comune. Penso che si chiama così, non mi ricordo adesso. And it was so understandable. Like, I remember I was obsessed with that song, and I think it was my top 1 or top 2 most heard song on Spotify last year. And that tells you a lot about me. But it's a very great singer. And his name, okay, I know I'm making some drama. His name is Alpha. I just got my phone, and this is his profile on Spotify. You guys can see it. But a few songs that I recommend for him, and honestly, all of them are great, but these 3 ones are my favorite. First one is called Bellissimissima. It was an Italian friend who recommended me, and it's absolutely beautiful. I love it. It's so fun. It's so nice. If YouTube didn't strike my video because of copyrights, I would definitely put it here. So I'll put a song, and this is my reaction to it when I listen. Alright, next one, as I said, is Le Cose in Comune. This one is great too, and it's a bit more fast for you to learn, but it's still great, and I think you can learn a lot of vocabulary, especially this one. This one is the one that will teach you how to conjugate verbs. The third one is called Il Filo Rosso, and it's absolutely perfect. You probably have seen on TikTok if you're in the Italian TikTok bubble, and it's heart touching. It's great. I love it. So these are my top 3 songs from him. Now, talking about other singers that are not Maneskin. If you haven't heard of Maneskin, I do recommend it. But some other singers that I like to listen and are Italians are Coes, really great. Ultimo, awesome, and Pinguini Tattici Nucleari. Yeah, that's a whole name. And also, just letting you guys know, because I'm a very kind person. Okay, I'll put my Italian Spotify playlist on the description. So if you want to check it out, some of the songs I hear,
We listen and we don't judge. Okay?
it's a deal, right? When it comes to textbooks, I'm a big fan, but unfortunately for Italian, I think I just consumed so much content to learn the language that I didn't even use textbooks that much. So there was only one that I actually recall using in the very beginning, which was Nuovo Espresso. So this is how it looks like, and if you want to learn Italian on a more structured way, I think it's a great textbook for you to check out. And yeah, I don't think there are other textbooks that I actually used. And to be honest, when it comes to learning content, grammar, and all of that, I remember that I used 3 channels mainly. So the one I mentioned earlier, Learn Italian with Teacher Stefano, Learn Italian with Lucrezia, also very great channel. I forgot to mention in the YouTube part, but she has a great channel about Italian language. And the third one was a Brazilian teacher teaching the basics of Italian. So that was pretty much it. Now guys, my final tips for you to learn Italian from your room is change the language of your phone. Although my phone is in English now, I still receive a Uber notifications in Italian, and it's so funny to me. I do recommend you guys creating a bubble of Italian content on TikTok, on YouTube, on Instagram, and just consuming as much content as you can. So try to search for content that you actually like, but in Italian. Type the things in Italian, and also use advanced search by Google. It's really helpful. And my final tip for you to learn Italian from your room is to speak, because all of this input is worthless if you're not doing the action of putting this input outside. So you need to speak to yourself. Don't let the absence of Italian native speakers around you stop you from actually speaking this language. Try to connect with people that are learning Italian, and also talk to yourself. I always say that because it's true. Like, I talk so much to myself in Italian until I actually was able to have a conversation with an Italian speaker. Okay, so yeah, like, where's Hanachi? Just talk to your capybara. Anyway, but one of the things that you can do is called language challenge. There's a language challenge where you record yourself speaking any language, in your case Italian, for 30 days with 30 different themes, and it's a very great idea for you to actually keep track of how much progress you're making. So yeah, I do recommend you guys doing that. So guys, if you have recommendation of what to watch, what to listen, what to read in Italian, let me know in the comments. It can be useful for other Italian learners. And yeah, if you like this video, please let me know in the comments and tell me which language should be the next one. So English, Portuguese, Spanish, whatever, just let me know in the comments. But it has to be a language that I speak to a certain level, okay? So keep that in mind. But yeah, if you like this video, subscribe to my channel, give a thumbs up, and I see you on the next video. Bye! E ci vediamo, no? See you in the next video. Bye!